Hello children, you are most welcome to yet another science lesson. Okay, today we want to look at again another group of simple machines. I hope everybody is attentive and is listening. Okay, yeah. In our daily life, there are tools that we normally use if we want to cut something. If it's not cutting, probably maybe you want to pierce something. If it's not piercing something, maybe you want to split that object, okay? So basically we're going to look at those tools, okay? Where we use them for cutting, piercing, or splitting objects, okay? So the tools we're going to look at here, we're going to put them under one group of simple machines, okay? Yes, remember we're still looking at simple machines. Now the group of simple machines where we have tools that are used for cutting, piercing, or splitting objects is called wedges, okay? We call those ones wedges, okay? So right now we are looking at wedges, okay? Are we together, children? We are looking at wedges. Now if somebody asks what a wedge is, we can say a wedge is a tool used for cutting, piercing, or splitting objects. Cutting, piercing, or splitting objects. Okay? Or if you don't want splitting, you just stop at it's a tool used for cutting or piercing objects. Okay? Yes. Or if you do not want that, you realize that I want you to see this. When we look at a wedge like this, a tool, this is another tool I can use for cutting, okay? You look at this. It is a tool I can use for cutting. You must be familiar with this tool, okay? Somebody can name this. This is already an example of a wedge, but I want to illustrate something with it. Yes, show me. Tell me what it is. This is a knife, correct. Thank you very much, okay? Now, this knife, why would they say, it is a wedge? This knife is a wedge because it is used for cutting. Now, somebody may say this knife can give it another name, okay, as an example of a wedge, and he will say, being a wedge, it is also called a double inclined plane, okay? A double inclined what? Plane. Remember, when we were learning inclined plane, we said an inclined plane is a sloping surface. Okay, it's a sloping surface. Now, do we have sloping surface on this knife? And we have even gone ahead and said it is double inclined plane. Now, meaning the sloping surfaces are two, they are double. Now let's try to see whether it's true, okay? Look at this knife. There is this face sloping. This is the sloping surface. You see the sloping surface. That surface facing you, that is one. Then there is this surface facing me. That is two. So it has two sloping surfaces. That's why we call it double inclined plane, okay? But this is an example of a wedge, okay? Yeah, so if they say why a knife is called a wedge, we say it's because it is used for cutting. Isn't a knife used for cutting, children? Yes, it's used for cutting. Now, beside the cutting using a knife, can we look at any other tools that we can put in the group of wedges? Apart from knife, let's look at another tool we can put in a group of wedges. Remember the definition? It can make you recall the tool you're going to give me. Any tool used for cutting, piercing, you know piercing. Piercing objects have very sharp tips here. We use them for any tool used for cutting. This is how we cut, for cutting. Then piercing. Then splitting objects. Either we use it for piercing or we use it for cutting. That's a wedge. So tell me any object used for cutting or piercing objects. And we call that one a wedge. Apart from my knife that I've shown you. Okay. Correct. An axe. Yes, an axe. The one we use for cutting trees, we use it for even splitting wood. Yes. Another one? Which other one can you tell me? Yes. Apart from knife, apart from an axe, we have a panga. Correct. Thank you. Thank you. We have a panga. Apart from that, those are for cutting. Let's think about those ones which we can use for piercing. I'm listening. A razor blade, correct. That is still for cutting. I want it for piercing. Which one can you tell me? Can I direct you? Okay, let me mention one. Hey, somebody is stopping me. That he has one. Okay. A needle. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. A needle. Apart from a needle, which other one? For piercing, apart from a needle, which one can pierce? A nail can pierce. Yes, yes. True. Thank you. An arrow. Correct. An arrow. Yes, an arrow can pierce. Yes. Another one? Yes, a spear. Correct. A spear. So, general children, those tools you're mentioning, okay? The tools you're mentioning, those are the ones that we use for cutting, we use for piercing, okay? I told you if it is not for cutting, then it is for piercing, okay? So, look there. If they ask you to draw an illustration, how a wedge looks like, that's how a wedge looks like, okay? Okay, yeah, that's how they look like. You've always seen this with the people who split wood, eh? Yes. Now let's look at generally those examples you had given me, okay? Yeah, you had given me several examples. Then we can look at their diagrams, how those things can be drawn, because they can ask you to draw, apart from illustrating, showing how a wedge looks like. Somebody can ask for a particular wedge that draw for me the diagram of this kind of a wedge. Can be maybe a knife, a panga. Some of us may see a panga, how it looks like. Again, the drawing becomes a problem. So let's see how we draw these things, okay? Yeah, that's how we can draw a knife. Are we together? Just tracing how you see it lying there, it gives you a knife, okay? Let's say razor blade. Yes, that's where it is, okay? What about an axe? Yes, beautiful. All those are wedges, even a hole, okay? Yeah, you see there? Let's check more diagrams. A needle. Yes, yes, that one we use for piercing when sewing clothes. A nail. People for woodwork. They do that, roofing a house and so on. You see wooden, wedges there. This one, mostly people who split firewood, like using that. You remember? Yes. Yeah. So there are several other examples that we had not even drawn their diagrams here. You remember things like you talked about an arrow, you talked about a spear, of which I've not even put them here. But all those are examples of what? All those are examples of a wedge. Now, if somebody asks you the uses of a wedge, children, what you do is simple. Just put in mind examples of wedges, then you get the use from there. Like somebody asks you, give one example of a wedge. I can look at a knife. I say wedges are like knives, can be used for cutting, maybe cutting sugarcane, maybe for cutting. What can you cut? Think about what you can cut with a knife. Or can be used for peeling. Peeling. Used for peeling matoke. Used for peeling cassava. Okay? Used for cutting tomatoes. You get that? So you look at that. What about somebody can say wedges like axes can be used for splitting wood or for cutting big trees. We can say maybe wedges like pangas can be used for pruning. You get that? So just look at an example of a tool that falls under wedge when they say uses of wedges. So you can just pick a tool whose work you know very well, and you give its use unless they're specific. Unless they're specific. Yeah, like they can say a knife, they can say a razor blade, they can say a needle. Okay, you know what they are used for. So when they ask for uses of wedges, so children just focus on a particular wedge, just tell us how that one is used for. Because if you do not do that, not all wedges have the same uses. Okay, so therefore, generally, when they ask you, there is a difference here. They can ask you to draw an illustration of a wedge, that draw a diagram to show how a wedge looks like. Okay, there you cannot draw a knife, you can't draw a panga, you can't draw a razor blade. Okay, but if they say draw a diagram to show how, illustration means to show how a wedge looks like. A wedge, actually, the diagram, it is like this wooden one here. Okay, so when they say how a wedge looks like, this is what you draw. Let's check here. Let's try this. This is what you will have to draw for us. Okay, draw a diagram to show an illustration of what? A wedge. So a wedge looks like this, it looks like this. Are you seeing this? Yes, this is how a wedge looks like. So therefore, children, under this work, I hope you have been following well. There is some exercise that we have for you. Don't forget to answer that work. Then in our next lesson, probably, we shall ask the challenging questions. Don't keep quiet on work that has challenged you. I think our numbers are always there. Okay, you can ask any teacher of science in your class of P7. We shall always help you. We are there for you. We love you, children. You are our great children. Please keep safe. Okay, thank you very much.